Hello, how there? My name is Laolu Akonde and you are on to Inside Sources. Here is my take for today, entitled Policy Tips President Tinubu Can Still Adopt 2 years After, Part 1. Last week, Friday, we started a series here on Inside Sources focusing on the first 2 years of the Tinubu presidency, which falls due exactly next week, Thursday, May 29. In continuation of that, we serve you today a number of well-considered policy options and ideas that can transform the work of the Tinubu administration and significantly put Nigeria in the right trajectory irreversibly and promptly to the future. They are packaged in 6 broad categories: security, poverty alleviation, energy, productivity, human capital development, and governance issues. Let's start with security. Our inabilities to significantly increase the number of boots on the ground, both in the military and the police, is a serious limitation to how we are able to cure the problems of insecurity. The president can take decisive steps to deliver this number ramping up. We need to ramp up the numbers. Also, state police or the decentralization of police away from one command center in Abuja is now long overdue. While the president is known to support the idea, he can be more bullish about making sure that we have state police. Time is of the essence. At this point, with the resurgence of terrorism in the Northeast and the calamities that have been caused and that are being caused by insecurity in several parts of the country, the president should lay all options on the table, including the use of non-conventional fighting groups. Former President Goodluck Jonathan adopted such effectively ahead of 2015 elections, as we remember. Now we come to poverty alleviation. We don't have to be told or reminded about the crushing levels of poverty in Nigeria today, with the figures projected to rise in the coming years, according to the World Bank, to over 50% of our population by 2027. The least the Tinubu administration can do is to demonstrate an active concern, showcasing its own compassion and resolve to deal with this problem of poverty. Now, this hasn't happened as it ought to properly yet. For instance, look at the social investment programs which we are implemented in this country to local, national, and international acclaim between 2016 and 2019. That should be restored and reinvigorated. We saw success of the programs before the rot was introduced right after 2019. We have done it commendably before in this country with the National Homegrown School Feeding Program, the End Power, Trader Money and others, and the conditional cash transfer. The Tinubu administration can take the good success of the programs in the first 3 years of 2016 and 2019 and even do it better. This is very possible and we should do it. We come to energy. No nation in history has ever risen and grown economically without rise in its effective in energy utility. Nigeria won't be the exception. So we must crack the debilitating problem of electricity supply in Nigeria. First, we must crack the debilitating problem of electricity supply in Nigeria. First, we should ask, what is happening with the Siemens initiative? It seems the president managed to move it forward, but we need now to significantly, even much more, speed things forward by every means possible. The Siemens project is critical to the efficiency of the transmission component of our power sector, and we have been on it for quite a while. Let us speed things up. Then, we need to implement the idea of mini-grids quickly as part of the efforts to overcome the serious problems of transmission in the power sector. The national grid has to become a backup to a number of other mini-grids across the country, like we have in the US and India. We should no longer depend on a sole national grid because that is failing us, and it is failing us so embarrassingly. Also still on power, crucially, we must urgently facilitate the emergence of integrated power companies who will be able to, on their whole, generate and distribute electricity in specific locations and regions. The new Electricity Act, which enables states to delve fully into the power sector, is revolutionary, and the state governments should speed up things in that area. The issue of energy is the main infrastructure, not all those flyovers nobody is using that some of the governors are building all over the place. Other entities, because we want to unbundle the power sector, has failed us comprehensively. Now we have NERC, the regulator, we have MBET, we have NELCOM, we have TCN, we have NDPHC, we have at least 5 million GENCOs, but altogether over 20 companies doing generation, and then we have 11 DISCOs. What is the use of this unwieldy structure if it is not serving us well in the last 2 decades? We don't need to go back to the past. That's not the point. But we should not continue without having a thoughtful review of what we are having currently by, for instance, integrating power companies into one integrated companies in different locations, as we said, and also speedily adopting renewable energy sources such as solar. Finally, for today, we come to productivity, an introduction to it. Now, this is another imperative if we must truly and indeed move things in the right direction in Nigeria. We like the vision of the president for a $1 trillion economy, and we commend him for it. Now, ramping up productivity levels is exactly how we get there. We need to put our teenage population to work. It's all about jobs, jobs, jobs. Now, there are at least 3 critical areas that we should deliberately and intentionally ramp up productivity: agriculture, manufacturing, and technology. These are areas where we will continue with part 2 of this take, where we then go on to human capital development and governance issues. That will be in the next edition. Now, these tips and these ideas are imperative because as a country, we cannot continue to take poison and expect not to die. And there you have it, Inside Sources. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Inside Sources. Today, as we continue our focus on the Tinubu administration, I have with me somebody who was the immediate past Director General of the National Orientation Agency. He was also the Director of Publicity and Research of the ACN. Actually, he was the member and secretary of the APC Merger Committee. I'd like to welcome to Inside Sources Dr. Garba Abari. My brother, it's good to have you on Inside Sources.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Good to see you.
Very good to see you always. So let's just start from what we've been trying to focus on, the 2 years of the president, who, by the way, you work very closely with, not only in ACN, but even after APC was formed and the party was trying to figure out how to bring reconciliation. I remember that you worked very closely with President Tinubu as the secretary of the National Reconciliation Committee that President Buhari set up. So you know the president very well. So you're a very good person to ask this question. How do you assess him in the first 2 years in office?
Thank you very much. I really do not know actually from where to answer this question. But let me come from this perspective. I have known the president for quite a number of years. I have worked with him very closely as director of research and publicity of the ACN, of the AC, and then ACN, and the APC. I worked with him when in 2018, President Buhari set up the APC Reconciliation Committee and gave him wide-ranging powers as contained in the memorandum of, in the terms of reference. To reposition the party towards the 2019 elections.
That was President Buhari
to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. For the years I have known Mr. President, for the work we have shared, for the ideas that we have shared, for the kind of leadership he exhibited, in AC, in ACN, in APC, as one of the drivers, or maybe the key driver of the merger committee.
Right.
I can say that we have found in him a leader that would have put all the issues on the table, all the issues that had been discussed, all the issues initiated by him,
right?
Because I have found in him an avid reader. I have seen him an avid reader, one who is never averse to receiving ideas, one who is always willing to succumb to superior arguments, no matter how personally he feels or he must have felt about certain issues. 2 years down the line, in government now, I have seen the president exhibiting a slightly different personality. Different personality. Perhaps age must have caught up with him. Perhaps he must have been overwhelmed by actually the very humongous problems that this country is facing. And perhaps he has not found a willing, competent, capable support from his party. Because the party that puts a president in office doesn't just simply abandon the president.
Interesting.
And the president doesn't abandon the party. The two just have to go together.
There has to be the continuous
symbiotic. There just have to be not only symbiotic, but each one must have to actually play the role expected of it.
Okay.
What does the party actually have as a role to support the president? So many. You know, in terms of policy articulation, in terms of ensuring that the government it puts in place does not fundamentally deviate from the campaign promises as contained in the manifesto, the campaign manifesto. The president always engaging with the party to see how much of what the government is doing, the party is able to propagate, to take down to the to members, and then to the larger community.
Right.
Now, in all of this, I have not seen actually the kind of close working relationship that would have placed the president within the ambit of a comfortable governing environment, because it's either he does not engage the party or the party does not engage him. So we have a kind of a disconnect.
And that has affected quite a bit of what you expect, because, you know, just taking it from where you left it, you know, being a participant myself, you know, in the last administration, you know, I noticed that there is no transfer of some of the experience of APC members under the Buhari administration. I haven't seen an effective transfer of some of the knowledge, the experience that they had to this administration. You know, and I'll give one or two examples and then take it from there, just to piggyback from what you said. Look at the issue of social investment program. which is a winning,
Yeah.
any day is a winning program.
Yeah.
You know, in 2019,
one of the largest in Africa.
Largest in Africa. You know, this program was implemented from 2016 to 2019
Yeah.
to national and international acclaim. Now, so this government is still struggling with social investment. To be fair, you know, I think the struggle actually dates back to 2019, you know, in the second term. But because it's the same party, I thought that you could have the transfer of that knowledge, you know, to the new administration. And then there have been quite a few other instances where you see that the party is behaving as if, you know, the party and the government is behaving as if this is just a beginning. I think that there are quite very important challenges that the Buhari administration couldn't solve. And I was hoping that the Tinubu administration should be able to solve it. But I've not seen that effective collaboration between the party and the...
That goes actually to underscore the point I was making earlier. Because the social investment program is not only the program of the president, it's the program of the party.
Yeah.
Now, if it is the program of the party should have been in the forefront in ensuring that in the Buhari handover notes, all the institutional knowledge and the expertise and the experiences so garnered within at least the year 2016 to 2019 would have been either deeply studied, expanded where there was the need for it to expand, or at least taken in the form and manner it was initially, because this was a program, like I said, like you rightly pointed out, it's a program, the largest in Africa. It was actually seen as one of the biggest social safety nets that a country like Nigeria can give to citizens, especially with the very massive poverty levels that we have recorded over the years. Now, because of this disconnect, I am not sure even if the party headquarters has in its library, assuming it has a library anyway, you know, has in its library, I assume maybe it has it, maybe it may not have had a library, you know, all these experiences, all these competencies, all these capabilities that have been developed over the years, you know, to help guide the incoming government. Don't forget, it's 10 years of APC, 10 years of APC in office, and of course, slightly more than 10 years. I mean, 10 years of APC in government, and slightly more than 10 years of the APC as a political party. And this is actually a very convenient meeting point to give assessment of the record of the party as a party, and the record of the government that the party has put in place in the last 10 years.
Okay, so clearly, you know, that disconnect is actually responsible for some of the challenges, you know, and that one will expect that they don't have to grapple with because of the benefit of knowledge in the past administration. So let's move it forward then. So in your own view, what ought to happen? You know, the president has another 2 years, you know, even before the election. How do you think the president, what should he do going forward to deliver on the promises of APC and the expectations that Nigerians, you know, have about this party? You will recollect in 2015 that this whole country was swept all over by the campaign of change. Honestly, I don't think that change has happened. What do you think the president ought to do in the balance of these 2 years to begin to inspire the confidence of Nigerians that APC actually meant what it promised? It
still boils down to the issue of the party and its capabilities. When the party was formed, a definition of it was given by some of the key drivers of the party. The All Progressives Congress. Who are we? What do we stand for? And this was actually very clearly stated in that definitional document. That definitional document that sets out to define the APC as a party with some social democratic principles, that has understood the challenges of national unity that is the country is facing, management of diversity, which the country has not been able to do since independence to date. The challenge of law and order, insecurity, youth restriction, poverty, pervasive poverty level, all of these have been articulated in that piece, and then became clear that for the APC, which has struggled as opposition, elements, coming together, coming together, the job for such a party has been clearly cut out for them. Unfortunately, what we are seeing now is that the party has lost focus in terms of its, in terms of the direction it is supposed to be going. Because what are the social democratic principles of the APC today? What are the social democratic principles of the party?
You can't tell APC differently from PDP or any other party.
That is very true. Then, secondly, what is the level of synergy between the party between the government at the center, which the APC had put in place, and the party at subnationals, where the APC is in control? Have you seen any level of synergy, even in terms of policy synchronization, in terms of the implementation of the party manifesto, in terms of the campaign promises? In 2015, the party actually campaigned around 3 areas: restoration of security, law and order in the country, fight against corruption, and growing the economy. In all of the 3, up to now, 10 years down the line, we are grappling with each and every one, with each and every of these 3. 10 years down the line.
10 years down the line.
10 years down the line. In some instances, even the situation getting worse.
True.
So this is actually the problem. Now, in the 2 years of President Tinubu, 2 things have happened. One, he had exhibited the capacity to take very bold decisions, even if with unpleasant consequences. And in leadership, you need that kind of boldness in certain instances. But when you take such bold decisions, or before taking such bold decisions, some of the fallout effects of the decisions to be taken should be thought through carefully, so that you don't end up worsening the situation either because of the decisions or in spite of them.
Right.
Now, I give you the example of, say for example, the poverty level, which both the National Bureau of Statistics, which is our in-house statistics agency, the World Bank, the IMF, the African Development Bank, and even other civil society organizations that are working in the areas of social development, have all come out with that in the last 2 years, the poverty level of the country has actually taken a nosedive. And the reason, one of the reasons, is because of the removal of subsidy. A very bold decision, a decision that would have probably been taken by any of the 4 leading political parties then. PDP said they will remove subsidy. APC said they will remove subsidy. NNPP said they will. Labour Party said they would. In all of this, we in the APC that removed the subsidy perhaps would have done it differently from what either of the 3 or any of the 3 would have done. Now, the party would have been in the forefront of engaging with citizens to see that even though it's a campaign issue,
right,
we are going to do it, but we are going to do it with this level of engagement with the citizens. Now, the removal of subsidy has escalated cost of transportation, and with it came increased price of food and services. It has affected agriculture because especially dry season farming, which requires a lot of use of fuel, and the price of fuel rose from 145 to about 600 to 700 now, ranging, something between 8 to 900, depending on the location.
Yeah,
that's one. Two, the security situation. Which the party made as one of its priority areas, one of its priority campaign areas in 2015, in 2019. In fact, President Bola was even more emphatic that the priority of his administration would be
to deal with
the insecurity of the country, noting, and I quote, without security, there will be no development, there will be no peace, there will be no progress. And for this, he promised to deal with this issue of insecurity and to make it the number one priority in 2023. Resources have been given out. We see the president holding meetings with the security chiefs and the rest of them.
Several times.
The situation. I am from Maiduguri. I live in Maiduguri. To date, my family lives in Maiduguri. I know the security situation there.
Do you subscribe with the idea of considering the use of unconventional fighting options, just like President Goodluck Jonathan did ahead of the 2015 elections?
Given the gravity of the situation now, I think we can even do with mercenaries. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
because
we can. We can, because the situation is really number one, our security agencies are getting overwhelmed.
Yeah. And
truly overwhelmed.
They are going to attack.
That's why. Now, aside being overwhelmed, they up till now have not developed this attitude or this capacity to be on the offensive. They are always the victims. First, first they get attacked, get killed, and in the process, reinforce the insurgents because they take away their arms.
Yeah. I mean, this goes to the military bases.
Now, they attack military bases. They attack the roadblocks. They attack them in the camps. They kill them in the process.
They cut away
in the process, kill the morale of the living, cut away arms and munitions, take away civilians and and collect ransom, which they use to buy food and additional arms and munitions, and even make contributions to other terror groups. So this is actually, I think the situation has become so dire that we cannot run away from the options of even bringing in mercenaries.
I agree with you entirely, and this is one of the things that I have also been trying to articulate, that look, we whatever has to be done to clear this mess and clear it permanently, we ought to do it. But I want us to move on going forward. So, what do you see happening? I mean, you are a political scientist, an academic for that matter, who is both vast in theory and practice. What do you think is going to happen in 2027? We see a lot of political movement, the opposition, I think they have now said that they're going to use ADC. You have people like the former Vice President Atiku, Peter Obi, Rufai, saying that they're going to be in the same place. You have Aregbesola, Ogbeni Rauf in Osun State saying that we are also going to be, What do you read as, what's your own permutation of 2027? Can the president survive this opposition onslaught?
I am an organization man, and I believe in the power of the organization. That is why it pains me when I see all of these efforts since 1999 to this point, that we have not been able to build our parties into really organic institutions. We have not been able to develop. Nigeria's democracy has not developed political parties to become organic institutions.
And this is the 25th year of the Fourth Republic.
And this is a very sad reality of our democracy. That's one. Two, the opposition can come together, but opposition individuals do not represent opposition institutions. When in 2013, 2015, we decided to come together and form the APC. Of course, individuals played to form the APC. Individuals played key roles. General Buhari, which is CPC, Asuaju Chibise Akonde with our ACN.
Yeah.
Ogbanahe Anu with the NPP, and the Rochas was able to pull a faction of the ABGA and bring it in to the merger process.
That's Rochas Okorocha.
This is Rochas Okorocha. And now, these are institutions led by individuals. In what I am seeing now, I am not sure if I can comfortably say Vice President Atiku Abubakar has that control of the PDP and can bring it into a merger.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am not sure if Peter Obi, for example, has that control of the Labour Party and can bring it into a merger. I am not sure if other opposition elements like Rufai, who has left the APC and gone to the SDP, can bring the APC, the SDP into a merger. Now, where institutions cannot match, you are only left with individual political followers. Individual followers of an individual. Like I don't want to use the word disgruntled, unhappy elements of the PDP, unhappy elements of the Labour Party, and unhappy elements even of the APC to likely come in to join forces. But time will not allow them to march because they don't even have the parties to march. Time will not allow them to, maybe the best they can do is to align. And enter into some electoral alliance and agreement, which has not worked all of Nigeria's political history. Maybe one option left out is actually for all of them to aggregate in one place and then take a shell party and they begin to populate it. Take a shell party and they begin to populate it, as it has been speculated that they are either going to SDP or they are going to ADC or perhaps any other party, because all of these are still within the realm of speculation. Now, where does that leave Mr. President and the APC? To all practical purposes, the APC has become a wounded brand. It has become a wounded brand. So we have a president with his policies. We have a president who has been able to leverage the presidential office and powers and expanded his political base. We have seen him, we have seen what is happening around the country, the Delta State, entire APC structure coming into APC.
Yeah, the entire PDP structure, you mean?
The entire PDP structure in Delta coming into APC. Governor Umo of Akwa Ibom, you know, being speculated to join the party any moment. Governor Soludo, even though not saying he is going to APC, but openly saying we are going to work with the president. So as far as the president is concerned, he is expanding his political base, but that is not where the story stops. The story stops at actually the thinking of the average voter.
The average voter, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Now what is that message?
What does the voter think about the APC? What does the voter think about what is happening in the other wing? What the opposition elements are doing? Because at the end of it all,
right,
two things should either determine, should determine the outcome of the elections.
Okay.
One, the performance of the party in office. We hope that the economy, the security, the corruption in the land, the hunger, this could be the determinants. But in many instances, as we have seen, this will not eventually be the determinants. What will determine the outcome will be the zone where the president comes from, the religion where the president comes from, the region where the president comes from, the state where the president comes from. We are actually a country still, you know, so to say, in operating as if we are in pre-modern days. And this is the sad reality of our political culture and our political reality, still placing, from our own perspective, the blame on our inability to develop political party and political party systems and the parties to emerge as organic institutions capable of transcending all of these cleavages and the uniting members, you know, into a single unit.
Which is the challenge of the country itself. And that leads me to this issue. Now, the Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives, Dr. Tijani Abbas, has come up with quite a very, you know, interesting idea of compulsory voting, that every Nigerian should vote. Now, some of our notable lawyers have said, oh, no, I mean, you cannot compel people to vote because people have the right to vote and the right not to vote. And then some people have also argued that, look, we have a situation where there is complete and total disconnect and distrust between the electorate and the people in government, and we might need to do something drastic to change all of that. And so some people see this compulsory voting as something drastic to compel people to come out, believing that when people come out to vote, that itself becomes a dynamic that will probably torpedo all some of the games that politicians play around election. Dr. Abari, where do you stand on the issue of compulsory voting?
It's actually laughable.
It's what?
It's a laughable idea. Absolutely laughable. I find it quite amusing that you will want to legislate. It's just like you now saying everybody must love Nigeria. So so the point is, let's legislate nationalism. Let's legislate patriotism. It's just like that. You know, patriotism, love for nation is something that is never legislated. It's a process that evolves.
Right.
Now, you say you want to make Nigerians to vote compulsorily. Why? First, why do people actually come out to vote? In some climes, people look at the voting cycle with excitement. In our own case, the excitement that accompanies the voting cycle is just the transactional aspect of it. The transactional aspect of it. And still coming down, therefore, to what I am saying, our inability to build political parties as institutions that can mobilize, that can get people to believe in them, that can recruit leaders in which that people will believe in, you know, and that can expand the democratic space and engender participation of the larger chunk of the society. It is not seen that it is not being seen in our own context. It is not. So what I'm saying, therefore, is who is going to mobilize people to come on board? Is it the political parties or civil society?
They will be compared by law.
So if they are compared, okay, just take now that even when people are just allowed to come out and vote openly now.
Right.
Just take the example of our electoral practice.
Right.
With still the very low voter turnout. Because from 1999, from 1999 to now, the voter apathy actually has witnessed incremental growth. Incremental growth. The voter apathy. Perhaps it might even get worse in 2023, in 2027. It might get worse.
Which is sad.
Which is sad. But that still boils down to what I'm saying, that we don't have institutions that can mobilize, institutions that can even inculcate party principles into its own members. Now, I'm talking about members of a particular political party. You know, because what percentage of the population even represents membership of political parties, given Nigeria's large population? You know?
Yeah.
But then parties can also address citizens, not necessarily its members, but citizens. We are going to do this and this and this and that.
I wanted to also ask you, two more questions and then we'll wrap it up. The first one, which I must ask you, is that you were the former Director General of the National Orientation Agency. I think you were there for actually
7 years.
7 years, okay. What do you think has happened to us as a people in terms of our values? Because when I look at these things, and I'll give it, maybe one example. The people who end up in government, the people who end up to become politicians, the people who are destroying the institutions, the people who are not building the institutions, they came out from among us. They didn't come from heaven. They are our brothers, our sisters, our fathers, our mothers, So what has happened to us to produce this large-scale set of political leaders who clearly are playing the game in the way that does not justify what our desires, what our aspirations, even what the potential of Nigeria is? What do you think happened? You are in charge of national orientation, my brother.
Thank you very much. First and foremost is, I think, there is total collapse of our values. And these values are not actually Nigeria's values, they are universal values.
Yeah.
They could be Nigerian values if you so wish, because they are even encapsulated in the constitution of the country. Section 2, subsection 23 of the Nigerian Constitution talks about national core values.
Yes.
Now, if there are national values, if you take them and stretch and place them on the table, you can see that these are actually global universal values.
True.
Hard work, integrity, honesty. Love for country, religious tolerance, self-reliance, all of this. And these are values that we see that are in our constitutions, but these are values that we actually observe in the breach. These are values that we observe in the breach.
Well, have we always been like that?
We have not always been like that. What has actually made this worse is one, excessive craving for materialism.
Yeah.
Excessive craving for materialism. And this has even defied what our pastors and our imams have been preaching in mosques and churches. And of course, even the collapse of family values. because the family is the foundational unit at which character is being formed and molded.
Yeah.
You know, before you expose the child to the wider society. And then this excessive crave for materialism,
right,
and the craving has led to so many reasons why people have to cut corners. And in the process, community actually lost the control of its human resource.
Right.
Community lost control of its supervisory role in terms of who gets leadership position,
right,
at whatever level, and then the corruption at the end of the day took the larger chunk of our recruitment process into positions of responsibility. And that is why, again, coming back to the issue of party,
right,
our political parties are not internally democratic.
Right.
Ticket goes to the highest bidder. Internal democracy is never observed. Internal processes of conflict management are never observed. You hardly find organs of the party, even where they are created by the constitution of the party, allowed to work. And in the process, drug pushers, 419ers, ritual killers, ritual kidnappers, all manner of people come to occupy the political space.
So
and now, in all of this, what can a country do to reverse this trend?
Yeah, I'm interested in
you
that.
know, what can a country do to reverse this trend? First is actually to recognize that this is a real danger. I'm not sure if we have realized that this is the danger we are in. I am not sure if we all have collectively agreed as a country that this is real danger that we are in. Unless we are able to appreciate this fact and know that we are actually on the precipice,
right,
you know, then everything must have to be done to bring back integrity in service,
right,
honesty, recruit leadership, you know, leaders through renowned global best practices accepted all over. Allow the recruitment process of leaders to be honest, open, transparent.
Right.
We can hardly actually get ourselves out of the wilderness.
Wow. A very, very compelling point that you made, you know, and you know, everything dovetails back to the leadership. That's why
it does.
You have, you know, and it's not just political leaders.
It does.
You know, religious leaders, you know, thought leaders,
civil society, the family, the school system, everything.
Okay, interesting. Last question. Dr. Patutomi, who actually used to be a member of APC, I think he was also part of the change campaign in 2015.
He was.
Yeah, but I don't think things didn't go very well, you know.
He went back to the ADC.
Exactly. Now he's come up with this idea of a shadow cabinet, you know, and I kind of say, okay, well, I mean, at least there's somebody who thinks that there's a vacuum for what the opposition people are not doing. But the DSS has actually taken him to court. They met, the court had a hearing this week, and they picked another date. Well, what's your take about the idea of Patutomi for shadow cabinet? How does it strike you?
Well, I think Professor Otomi is absolutely right that the opposition has left a vacuum. And of course there is a vacuum, because we have not seen the opposition doing anything, you know, that would put the government on the seats, on the hot seat.
Right.
It has not. It has failed in this responsibility, and our democracy is actually the worse for it. Now, the idea of a shadow cabinet or a shadow government, I don't think is anything that threatens a sitting government. It does not in any way threaten a sitting government. Perhaps the DSS actually just wants to introduce something outside what would have been the real motive behind the idea of the shadow government. Because I have listened to Professor Pat Utomi. I have also listened to the response of the party in power.
Right.
Both seems to be on the same side anyway. Both seem to be on the same page now. Especially after I have listened to Pat Utomi's explanation and the response, the subsequent response of my friend and the brother, the APC publicity secretary,
Mr. Moka.
Felix Morka.
Yeah.
You know, so even the APC is not really averse to the idea.
What will you say? What will be your counsel to the president?
We have 2 good years to address the gaps, and there are actually many gaps. There are very many gaps that need to be filled. Unfortunately, we have very limited time available because already governance is being distracted by political, by the permutations and the rest of them. So even the ruling party itself is distracted now. I hope that between now and at least the next 1 year, don't forget, the congresses are starting in less than 8 months from now.
Yeah.
The congresses and the conventions. You know, so we have just about a year, not up to actually not up to 2 years, because already, even in the 2 years remaining, already you can see that governance is being distracted.
So what do you think the president should do to maximize and optimize the time left? I mean, if you were to see him and if you were to ask you and say, hey, Dr. Abari, you know, we work together, you know, what do you think I should do? Please talk to the president, Dr. Abari, as we close.
Mr. President, the poverty level in the country is still very pervasive. Perhaps 1 year is too short a time to optimally reduce it. But 1 year is still a good time to ensure that at least citizens are able to feed, and to feed at a much lesser cost. So, government should do whatever it takes to make sure that the poverty and the hunger level in the country is reduced optimally. That's one.
Okay.
Number 2, let's work very seriously on our management of diversity. This country is a country of diverse people and cultures and religion, and with all manner of competencies that you can find from every nook and the cranny in this country. Actions of government should be such that will strip the president from wearing any ethno-regional gap because of the complexity of our country.
Okay, very good.
And then finally,
okay, please,
Mr. President, allow or be the champion of building an organic political organization. You have done it with AC. I have worked with you on that. We have done it in ACN. I have worked with you on that. You have led the formation of the APC. I have worked with you on that. You have come out with fantastic ideas when you were made the chairman of the Reconciliation Committee. I have worked closely with you on that. All of these ideas are ideas that emanated from your humble self, your drive, your vision, and your exhibition and the belief and commitment to democratic ideals, you should not be seen to be reversing all of this, either through inaction or deliberate attempt to remain passive where things are not going well. All is not well with our party.
Okay, thank you very much. And I like to add, since Dr. Abari got the attention of the president, I like to also add, for the president, that a lot of people still hold the hope out that, just like he has said, that you can make something happen. I am included in that. We have issues, no doubt about it. Some of it Dr. Abari has highlighted. But I want to add one more thing. Mr. President, make sure we get a new constitution, a people's constitution, while you are there. This is one of the things that you have represented. Please ensure that Nigeria gets a true constitution that we can say we, the people, indeed have a constitution. We hope you are following, and Dr. Abari, I hope you can agree.
I agree with you absolutely. In fact, if just that I missed it out, because in that respect, even with President Buhari, proposals for such an idea, I worked very closely with a team that even came out with a proposal for such an idea that will lead to a new constitution.
Wow. So it's an important...
it is an important point you have raised, and it is an issue that I have worked on a lot, with a lot of patriotic Nigerians, then within and the outside government, towards ensuring that.
Okay.
We never saw it happen. I hope this can happen.
We hope it can happen. Thank you so much, Dr. Garba Abari. Thank you for the insights that you've shared, and it's interesting to have somebody like you who knows the president very closely, who has worked very closely with the president since the days of AC to ACN and APC, and even when President Buhari asked now president to lead the reconciliation of the party, you were the secretary. Thank you for the insight that you've shared, and thank you for your contributions while you were DG NOA, even as a political scientist and academic. I know that you are now retired, but we thank you for coming out to share your views on Inside Sources.
It's always so nice to be in retirement. It's so nice. It feels really great. Thank you very much for having me.
Exactly. Congratulations.
How you were able to exhume me from this. Exhume me from my retirement.
Exactly, because we need your views, and your views are quite very topical, notable, and significant.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for coming to Inside Sources.
Yeah, it's
all
my
right.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And there you have it, another edition of Inside Sources. Like we always say, Nigeria will prevail. It means that Nigeria will win, partly because we will not relent. We will continue to push the issues, and we believe in this country. And we know that one day we will get the break. Thank you for watching. My name is Laolu Akonde, and by the grace of God, I'll see you at the next edition.